Thank you very much, Geert, and good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you this afternoon. I will tell you a little bit about a couple of challenges we've had, some of the main challenges we've faced over the last year and currently what we're facing. And we will talk about what we're doing currently and also what we are thinking about going forward and what plans we have going forward. So first of all, before we go into more detail about procurement as such, it's probably worthwhile just to highlight some of the project governance aspects that, for instance, this project is one of the most complex projects in Europe, and you can see this from the current schematic that's on the screen, which illustrates the complexity as it's being delivered, implemented in the 3 Baltic countries, and has also links to Poland and Finland. And of course, we are dealing with also the European funding in addition to the Baltic funding. Then there is very much complexity, and also it's important to understand that there are multiple parties that undertake procurement activities. So we have the shareholders of the joint venture from each of the Baltic countries, and then we have, in addition to RB Rail, the joint venture that undertakes procurement activities, also the national implementing bodies, which you can see further down on this chart in each of the countries. So there are 4 main bodies that undertake procurement activities on this project. And this is worthwhile just keeping in mind, keeping at the back of your heads just when we go through the whole day. And of course, the slides will be available later on, as well as the recording of this event. So if we go forward, then what we have done in terms of procurement over the past year and a half, we've seen that with the challenges that we've encountered, communication has become increasingly important, and good communication, and what we can do has always been the question, what we can additionally do in terms of the communication, in terms of the procurement exercises that we run. So we've already established a practice of regular market research and consultation with the market participants and potential suppliers, and communication with them. We have done various briefings and provided information through our website, through various events that we have done to provide information on key tenders and what to keep in mind to come and participate in procurement. In addition, we have since last year also started to do more about highlighting main pitfalls, how not to fail in our tenders, what are the key items to keep in mind to make sure that your applications and proposals are compliant. In addition to that, what we've started to do since last year to also do pre-proposal briefings. So in addition to what we do pre-procurement and the communication we do pre-procurement, we do additional briefings before proposal submission to make sure that everybody understands what and how needs to happen and what we need to do. And also post-tender briefings is something that we do as a standard practice, that regarding any key tenders especially, we provide the opportunity to have a briefing session with our procurement team and project management to really understand what have been the key points to consider, or where tenders have fallen short in terms of their proposals. And this all is really important, especially in the light of the challenges that we've had, not least the COVID-19. So first of all, we had the COVID pandemic that really raised the need to do things more effectively and efficiently, and find ways to communicate in a situation where the market is very much closed. And now, in the situation of the Ukraine war, a very unfortunate thing that's happened and unfolded, where we see also that there are big changes and everlasting changes that are happening in the supply market as well. And whilst we updated the procurement policy last year, now we are looking for further updates in the policy. We are doing this exercise together with our partners on this project, the national implementing bodies, and hopefully we will also have soon more clarity to provide through our website and various methods of communication to the wider supply market on what the updates will be. At the end of last year, as we have done regularly for the past 4 years, we undertook a supplier survey as well. This is a really helpful tool for us. This is a survey that we undertake every year to really understand from the perspective of the suppliers out there, what is our practice, what is the quality of the procurement practice at RB Rail as the joint venture, and what we have to do to improve going forward. And it was really good to see that there is a good mix of small, medium-sized and large companies involved. That also there are multiple areas of business where the suppliers are involved. And obviously the key areas are construction design and supply of materials. Also, it was good to see that there are various different platforms of engagement that are being used quite effectively across the project. And of course, there is a lot of engagement through procurement that is taking place. Now, one of the key indicators that we look at in this survey is the overall quality of the procurement process or tendering process as such. And I'm really happy to say that the result was higher than we had never expected. In 2018, when we first launched this survey, it was a situation where we didn't expect the result to be that high, but we took the feedback into account and we improved and we kept improving year on year, and we see that the result is 77% satisfaction already. So that we are very proud of, and we also are very thankful to the suppliers that participate in these surveys that help us to improve and provide a better, more transparent and fair procurement practice going forward. The way forward, let's talk a little bit about that. So we know that there are certain issues currently in light of the Ukraine war, and the three main issues that have come to light almost immediately are the volatility of the supply and energy prices, the limitation of workforce in the region, and also the inability or difficulty to source certain supplies. And these are the things that we're dealing with, we are aware of, and we are addressing on a continuous basis. And in terms of sanctions and restrictions, so something that we have to be very clear about is that we don't see any opportunity for Russian and Belarusian companies to participate in tenders in Rail Baltica. That's not least because what is going on in Ukraine currently, the aggression against Ukraine is against our moral and ethical values, as we are a truly European and Baltic mega project, but also because we have done a very thorough survey on the project risks and reviewed the situation, and because of that, because of also the pragmatic reasons behind, we have no doubt in our minds that doing the right thing is the right thing to do, and this is exactly what we're doing here. Also, in terms of contracts, we are looking at the review and potential substitution of certain suppliers, and this is a case-by-case exercise that we're doing. And of course, in addition to that, we are rejecting all the sanctioned companies and individuals as per the sanctions law. If we're looking at further on the way forward, then there are three key areas which we are currently considering potential further solutions and discussing amongst the project participants what and how we can do to relieve the situation, to relieve the market difficulties, the volatility, and to make sure that we continue the project implementation in an unhindered manner. So in terms of these three key areas, there's one area that concerns procurement, another that concerns contracting and pricing, and the third that concerns the cooperation between the client and the contractors and suppliers. So first of all, on procurement, one of the things we consider is potentially doing more of two-stage procurements with negotiations, which will allow us to understand the first-hand information from the suppliers at the negotiation stage and to adjust to the market difficulties. at the time of or just right before submitting the final proposals. And also being able to currently proceed with tenders already without having to commit to pricing at the volatility situation. And at the time when proposal stage comes, then by that time we hope the market would have settled a little bit more as well. So that's the current anticipation that we have. Then in terms of the evaluation criteria, looking at some more balanced criteria as well, not just price, because the price volatility makes the price evaluation also somewhat difficult or unthankful as an exercise. So we need to think about other criteria potentially that will help us work together more with suppliers who have the ability to mitigate risks and look into alternative supply chains and solutions. And of course, framework agreements and dynamic purchasing systems is one way of going on with procurement in an unhindered way and resolving part of the procurement exercise in advance already. Contracts and pricing options, what we are thinking about at the moment, what potentially we could do. So higher commitment amounts, high initial commitment amounts. So we understand that the funding for the project is cyclical as per the EU funding cycles. And we are looking at the potential of having higher initial commitment amounts. Of course, advance payments, also making those more regular, looking into the proportion of advance payments possible. And flexible pricing mechanisms and indexation is something that we are already doing at several places, and we'll be looking at further options there, what we can do, even going further, what we can do as a more standard approach. And of course, interim payments for solutions for deliveries within the contract to potentially make those more frequent as well. In terms of cooperation, something that we have been discussing already actually through the COVID time, as we're now coming out of COVID, we see that more feasible to have the big room approach, or what basically is a cooperation, a one-team approach with our suppliers and contractors, especially on key tenders and key contracts, which allows us to work together to mitigate risks. And the next point, risk sharing, that's part of this approach as well, so that we would work as a one team with the contractors and undertake these exercises of risk management potentially together. Then something that we are also contemplating about is the potential, the feasibility of a procurement hub for contractors, which is the possibility of consolidating the requirements for procurement or purchasing between various contractors that we have in different contracts. So these are all the things that could potentially help, but these need a little bit of work and communication also with everybody that's listening in, of course. And the technical specification flexibility is one thing as well, looking at perhaps more output specifications than detailed specifications to allow for contractors to establish workaround mechanisms to work around the market volatility, to be able to shift work around on site and so on. So these are the things that we are thinking of overall. There is more information to come. Currently this work is ongoing. We have started it at the Procurement Reference Group, which is a platform we use on the project between RB Rail joint venture and the implementing bodies and beneficiaries to align on these approaches. So there will be further information coming out as we go on. And what are our expectations towards suppliers as well? Of course, we need to work together. So it's not just sort of a one-way street, it's a two-way street. We're talking about working together. We're talking really about making sure together that we succeed. And so we also expect our suppliers to find opportunities for alternative supplies and alternative suppliers. We know it's difficult, and there may be different problems around that. Also, the new supply chains at some point may become saturated, and there may be some bottlenecks that we encounter. But this is something that needs to be worked at. Also, the mitigation of price volatility. So it's something that we can step forward towards the suppliers in terms of the mechanisms that we are currently contemplating applying. But we also would like that this is a step also towards us from the supplier side in making that effort. And of course, providing competitive and good quality supplies and services is what we always expect, and now it becomes even more relevant. In terms of key tenders, just a brief overview. RB Rail, the joint venture, has the consolidated procurement or consolidated materials procurement already ongoing, which we continue with new packages this year. And my dear colleague Martin Splaus will later on give more of an overview of that in this afternoon. And there will be new packages of fencing and noise walls also coming up later on this year. So currently we have already the Kaunas-Vilnius design tender ongoing, and there will be also the Kaunas-Polish border design tender coming up. The energy subsystem design tender, energy subsystem design and build tender will be coming up fairly shortly. So please keep updated with our website. That is going to be coming out over the next weeks. And then the CCS subsystems design and build packages will be prepared later on this year and are coming out from the start of next year. There are other management systems, IT tools, studies and supporting services that we will tender this year, and you will see all this information, of course, from our website as well. So there is a link on this slide which takes you to the project website where the procurement plan is published, and of course the information is there. And if you have any questions, please do feel free to contact us on that. In terms of the implementing bodies in Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania, it's a pleasure that also the implementing body representatives are here with us today, and they will be telling you more about their particular tenders and opportunities for everybody coming up this year and what their progress is later on. The main items that we are doing in terms of each of the countries is, of course, the railway mainline construction, local facilities, terminals and civil structures and so on, which they will tell you more precisely later on in their presentation block. So the key messages from procurement side: please keep informed with the tendering opportunities, and also we will provide you communication from our side. For anybody that is already registered on our newsletter, procurement newsletter, you will receive regular updates as we go on, as we update the information. For anybody that's not yet registered, please note that there are two newsletters on the Rail Baltica project site. One is a general newsletter and another is a procurement newsletter. So please do register yourself on there so you get regular updates when we send them out. And of course, procurement best practice is changing. It has been changing in the region ever since the COVID pandemic started, and we have been finding new ways and better ways for doing things, and it keeps changing as we go on. So that is something that we have to keep in mind. And later on, you will receive more information, more precisely, of course, also on the energy subsystem, CCS and materials procurement from my colleagues that will present that information in their blocks later on. Just a few tips in terms of procurement policy. Of course, we have this available from the project website, newsletters which are mentioned. Please register yourself for receiving the newsletters. Supplier declarations is part of our procurement policy. We expect that our suppliers will sign up to the supplier declarations and that they uphold the integrity of implementation and the values and requirements that we have in there. The information is all available from our website, and of course we undertake e-procurement. So when we talk about e-procurement, please note that there are three systems that are in use on this project. So RB Rail and the Latvian implementing body, they undertake e-procurement on the Latvian e-procurement system, whereas the Estonian implementing body undertakes their procurement exercise on the Estonian e-procurement system, which you will hear about later on. And also the Lithuanian implementing body will undertake procurement exercises on their respective procurement system. So for anybody wanting to participate, please note this information and make sure that you are registered early enough on these systems. And of course, regarding the main tips, we always provide the main tips for suppliers to ensure that you're aware of what is going on and what is necessary to keep in mind to be successful in tenders. And later on, my colleague Aigar Benfelder will also provide you with an overview and information on main tips and main pitfalls what to avoid in submitting tenders. So that overall completes my presentation. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the day. Thank you.